Welcome to our next episode of Small Town Downtown. This is where we pick 10 small towns, about 5,000 people or less. We drive through the main street, basically focusing on the main street historical area. And then at the end, we'll compare them 1 through 10. We'll rank them. So keep track as we go along, and we'll see if me and you have the same rankings or if maybe we will agree to disagree on this list. I'm starting in Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is not going to be on the list, way more than 5,000 people. But head south and then west and then back north, kind of around Fayetteville, and then up into Missouri. So we're going to have mostly Arkansas, but then we'll have some Missouri at the end. We'll see how even those two states compare. So let's go ahead and head south out of Fayetteville and get started. Before we get to our first town on the left here, this is Drake Field, formerly known as the Fayetteville Municipal Airport. It was the main commercial airport in northwest Arkansas until 1998. And now we are at our first town of Greenland, Arkansas. This is in Washington County, has a population of 1,213. It's part of the Boston Mountains within the Ozark Mountains here. It was originally named Frog Pond, then changed to Rugby in 1882 by the railroad. Then they changed it to Staunton in 1886 and eventually Greenland in 1909. Early settlers found prosperity by growing apples, berries, and raising chickens, and the completion of the St. Louis and San Francisco Railway, the Frisco, through the mountains in 1882 further grew the economy, and Greenland eventually incorporated in 1910. You can see the population was just over 100 for quite a while, then popped up to over 600 in 1970 and has continued to grow ever since. Next up is West Fork, population 2,331, still in Washington County for a little while here. It's along the waters of the West Fork of the White River, thus its name. Settlers arrived by 1828, and by 1850, the census for the township listed 96 households. First post office was in 1848, 4 miles south of here in a settlement named Woolsey. They changed that to Pitkin. Then they relocated it here to where West Fork is in 1878. They incorporated in 1885 with the arrival of the railroad. Early stagecoach lines followed a ridge to the west, but with the railroad along the river, it brought a rush of settlers. Population was in the 300s from 1930 to the 60s, and just like our last town, went up at that point. We're basically suburbs of Fayetteville here, so the expanding footprint of Fayetteville has helped this population tremendously. Usually I just put maps in between the towns on these videos, but there was a lot of really beautiful driving, so in between some of these towns there'll definitely be some scenic roads. This is Lincoln, Arkansas, in Washington County, population 2,294. The area around Lincoln first saw white settlement in the late 1820s. It was known as Blackjack back then after the Blackjack Oaks used to build the first schoolhouse. The settlement grew until applying for a post office in 1884 within Joseph Carter's store under the name Georgetown. The name was rejected. The post office didn't want to duplicate another Georgetown in Arkansas. Carter submitted Lincoln as the new name. He said he chose the name seemingly at random, having seen it on a box, but others were skeptical that Carter had wanted to name the community for Abraham Lincoln, as he was the, quote, Republican from the North. Population figures were pretty good in the early days and grew up to 820 in 1960 as we've looked at that date for some other towns, and then got over 1,000 and has continued to go up and up. It's at its highest point of 2294 today. Gentry, Arkansas, population 3,790. We are now in Benton County. Gentry began as a rural Ozark agricultural community named Orchard City, known for its apple orchards. The town began to grow when the Kansas City Southern Railroad was constructed through the town. In 1894, the town's name was changed to Gentry after an official in charge of construction of the railroad. 4 to 6 passenger trains a week came through Gentry until passenger service was discontinued in 1964. In 1937, Highway 59 was built, running through the city north and south here. When you look at the population figures, just like the other towns there, you see that 1960, where it kind of jumped up after that, really has exploded as all of the areas in northwest Arkansas has through the years. We've arrived to Decatur, Arkansas. It's in Benton County, population 1,773. This land was chosen by settlers because of its proximity to a freshwater spring, later given the name St. Elmo Spring. A church was organized in 1869, and the settlers referred to the area as Corner Springs. When they applied for a post office in 1882, the post office rejected that name. Then it was suggested it be named Mitchell, but that application was also refused. Finally, it was proposed that the community be named for Stephen Decatur, a hero of the War of 1812 who had relatives in this area. The name became official in 1883. In 1893, the Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Gulf Railroad completed a line through western Benton County that stopped in Decatur. On May 26, 2024, a tragic tornado that is reportedly the widest in the history of the state of Arkansas, at 1.82 miles wide, ravaged the western side of the community. Population was around 300 to 400 in the first half of the 1900s, and then bumped up there in 1970 and has continued to go up, and it's at its highest population today. This is Gravette, Arkansas, population 3,547, still in Benton County. Original name of the first settlement here was Nebo, had a post office in that name from 1878 to 1894. It was the earliest pioneer settlement of the community. Named Gravette in 1894 after Ellis Gravette, didn't have an E on the end of his name, it ended with a T, who was instrumental in the town's founding. The town added the E due to a postal service error. Gravette was aided around 1898 by the arrival of the Arkansas and Oklahoma Railroad. It's greatly stimulated the fruit growing industry in the region by providing easy access to markets. Gravette was formally incorporated in 1899. Like all these other towns, the population shot up there in 1970, but really it shot up in the last census from 2,300 all the way up to 3,547. This is Sulphur Springs, Arkansas, population 481. This is our smallest town of the day in Benton County, Arkansas here. The original town site contained numerous natural mineral springs, including a rare lithium spring. The reported healing properties of these springs led to the creation of a small community, and a post office was established in 1878. Sulphur Springs was designated a terminal for what became the Kansas City Southern Railway and the first train arrived in 1891. Fires in 1911 and 1912 caused significant damage to the downtown area and businesses. 1924, evangelist John Brown, who had earlier opened John Brown College in Sulphur Springs, bought the historic Kilberg Hotel along with much of downtown Sulphur Springs and opened John Brown University. So our first town where the population did not go up considerably. Actually, it's kind of been remarkably the same, almost from 1910 all the way until today. You can see we passed into Missouri, and now we're going to cross over this bridge and go into the town of Noel, Missouri. Population 2,124. It's in McDonald County. It's not Noel, like the Christmas name, but it's Noel. Post office has been in operation since 1886. Community was named for Clark and William Noel, who were brothers, stockmen, and owners of a local sawmill. Town was founded after the arrival of the Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Gulf Railroad. Now, some people like to refer to the Noel spelling of it, and each year thousands of Christmas cards and letters are sent to the post office during the holiday season. Most of the year, however, the residents pronounce the town as Noel. In 1969, a freight train exploded while passing through Noel, spraying fragments of metal through houses and buildings over a 6-block area. One person was killed and 40 others were injured. Population, just like the towns in Arkansas, was fairly small, kind of, moderate level of population, and then went up there in 1970 and has continued to rise in every census to its largest today. This is Anderson, Missouri, population 1981, also in McDonald County. History of the town dates back to 1886 when Robert Anderson opened a general store and a post office, which he named after himself. The town of Anderson began growing after the railroad was extended through Anderson to Noel, which we just saw. Anderson was incorporated as a town in 1909, became known as the strawberry capital of the world. Its population was a little bigger in the early 1900s than some of these other towns. You can see how it hit 1,000 by 1950. Been pretty steady ever since, and then shot up in probably the last 30 or 40 years, and the 1981 population today is its highest. Our final town is Goodman, Missouri, population 1,202. Goodman is the northernmost town in McDonald County and was originally known as Donahue from 1895 to 1897. It was the first area to experience the impact of the construction of the Kansas City, Pittsburgh, and Gulf Railroad. The name was changed in 1897 in honor of Lowell Goodman, one of the owners of the Ozark Orchard Company. Orchards covered more than 2,500 acres in Goodman and surrounding areas. Like many other communities, strawberries were also important to the early Goodman economy. And you guessed it, when you look at the population, first half of the 1900s was lower and then shot up there. Just as an example of how this whole area of northwest Arkansas and southwest Missouri has exploded in population through the years. Well, that was certainly a very interesting grouping of towns. I didn't know what to expect when I started that drive. And I knew it would be kind of maybe curvy and some interesting scenery, but it was beautiful driving. And so that was really cool. Makes me want to go back to that area, explore some of these towns, maybe further in like a small town USA video or something like that. So anyways, did you keep track? What was your favorite? I'm going to go with Noel, Missouri, aka Noel. And, it had a great downtown, and, they had the rocks, kind of rock formation as you're driving in there. And so kind of just a combination of that. And I thought that would be my number one. I'll probably go back there someday and make another video. So I really liked it. It was raining. Would have been nice to go through on a nice sunny day, but it is what it is. My second town might be a surprise. I'm going to go with the smallest town of Sulphur Springs, Arkansas. There were certainly towns that had many more older buildings and that were bigger, but there was something about Sulphur Springs that was unique. It was kind of a interesting collection of abandoned buildings. They had some really fascinating, huge buildings up on the hill, and makes me want to go back again and learn more about that area. And so Sulphur Springs is going to be number 2 as the smallest town. And I had a tie for number 3. I'm going to go with Anderson, Missouri, and Gentry, Arkansas. So both of those towns were a little bigger, had good downtowns, and I really liked them. So here's my complete list from 1 to 10. What's your list? Put it in the comments, and we'll see if we agree or not. But I really liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time down a back road. About halfway through this trip, I just pulled along the side of the road because, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, or near Cincinnati, Ohio, and this is Cincinnati, Arkansas, the Cincinnati Mall. And here is downtown Cincinnati. That's it. Definitely think you could say that would be a dead mall.